Hello and good evening, our beloved viewers. You are watching on live RTD channel. Welcome to this English news edition. Coming up, the headlines. The Ministry of Transport meeting with the Those were the headlines. Thanks for joining us in our newsroom. Today in the morning, a workshop on the leadership and political media by the Interparliamentary Union was launched in the conference halls of the House of Representatives headquarters. The works of these sessions will last for 2 days, starting from Wednesday to Thursday. These open the works of the workshop organized by the Interparliamentary Union speakers of the House of Representatives. This course was activated by the expert, Canadian expert, Mr. Jonathan Lang, the members of the Interparliamentary Union. The workshop focused on discussing on leadership and political media topics. The works undertaken during this workshop concern the identification of the key principles in terms of leadership and political communication, modules on the identification of priorities within the conference, and on the parliamentary mechanism of the government control and adoption of laws. In his speech, the President of the National Assembly reminded the honorable parliamentarians present that they must be representative. They must be the representative of the entire population of Djibouti in their capacity as elected representative of the people, and therefore also the representative of the youth in Djibouti in the National Assembly, and to be able to benefit from the aspects of the youth. However, when we are looking at the members of the young parliamentarians, it does not reflect this population. In fact, the worldwide only had 2.2 of parliamentarians are under the 30 years of age. In this regard, our assembly is doing better than the world average, because it has 32.3% young parliamentarians. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you are 21 out of 65 deputies, and we can congratulate ourselves. He said, this Djiboutian youth is the future of our country. It is incredible targets and credible of the innovation. This is a real asset for our country. And now the refers on. It was on workshop. The President of the Assembly received in the office of the young parliamentarians, and the young parliamentarians were a delegation expert from Inter-Parliamentary Union, Mr. Jonathan Lang, and Sosei Sin, Mr. The President of the National Assembly, Mohamed Ali Hamad, welcomed the two delegation and the young parliamentarians. After a warm welcome, the President of the National Assembly and the expert discussed to the IPU mission of at length the measures of progress at the works on the features and functioning of the IPU, the National Assembly works in partnership with the IPU, which support the young parliamentarians to strengthen their leadership, build their capacity, and coordinate their action to promote the political participation of young people. Indeed, the young parliamentarians who are the same age as Djibouti's youth have a social rules to pay in the integrating to the perspective and expectation and the interest of Djibouti's youth into the works of the National Assembly. It was on Wednesday, January 15, 2020, a consultation meeting on the urban and inter-urban transport was held in the People's Palace under the chairmanship of the Minister of Equipment and Transport, Mr. Musa Mohamed Ahmed. The meeting was attended by many actors in this sector, namely the Mayor of Djibouti, Ms. Fatouma Awale Ousmane, members of the National Assembly, the Director General of the National Police, Mr. Abdullah Abdi Farah, the President of the Civil Society, and all the bus and minibus union. The discussion focused on the ways and means, the situation of urban and inter-urban transport sectors, namely on the gap on the society and the civil society, trades union, the various stakeholders agree on how to solve the problems of a bus during the coming days. Indeed, the meeting from now on for the implementation of the general urban and inter-urban transport reform. In his speech, the Minister of Transport thanks all the members for their meeting. For more details, let's listen to this report.
gaadiidka magaalada shaqooyin badan baa laga qabtay, wax badan baa laga qoray.
First of all, let me thank you for your availability and for the speedy manner in which you responded to my invitations. I have the honor of co-chairing this morning with my colleague, the Minister of the Interior, this consultation meeting on improving urban and inter-urban transport services. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, the social sector of capital importance does not meet all the conditions for meeting the population travel needs. As you are also aware, the government's policy is to take all necessary measures to provide public transport users with a quality and secure services. It is in this sense that the President of the Republic, Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, gave during the meeting held at the Presidential Palace in March 2018 clear instructions to my department to improve urban mobility. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to inform you that the regulatory framework for the sector is almost complete. Indeed, a law on urban transport reform was passed in 2002, followed by a decree on the professional license and the specifications that transport operators must comply with. And finally, a presidential decree on the definition of urban routes is being finalized. Lastly, thanks to technical expertise from the World Bank, we are in the process of finalizing a policy note on improving urban mobility in Djibouti. However, it has not been possible to implement the legal test because it has become apparent that there is a need to organize the area in questions. Ladies and gentlemen, I take advantage of the presence of the Director General of the National Policy to congratulate the Road Safety Police who carry out the task every day with abnegations. I also congratulate all the trade union and bus and minibus transport companies that have been doing their best to provide public transport, a public authority mission since our country's independence. I would like to tell these ladies and gentlemen that the state is aware of your efforts and that today more than ever it's with you 100%. This is why, while waiting for this major reform of the sector to be implemented, we are meeting this morning to discuss with your urgent problem such as fares, bus and minibus routes and many others problem you are facing.
Still on national news, after the rise of a price in some food product recently, a team from the Ministry of Trade made up monitors in a campaign by the elements of the gendarmeries carry out a surprise operation this morning to monitor price stores selling food product after conducting the inspections tours of some stores. It was noticed that in Djibouti, the chair by the service of trade, they noticed that some of the price food product and cooking gas that were set up by the Ministry of Trade had increased, and that some of the product had an spare. On this regard, the inspections of the monitors inspection of the trade department call the owners of the goods of the shops and held the inspectors meeting. In this regard, the monitoring corporation will continue until the end of the month in the municipality of the capital and in the interior. Furthermore, the Minister of Equipment, the Minister of Commerce issued an appeal to all the commercial activities to respect the fixed prices of goods and these while the law will accredit the legally, they will be punished legally. In partnership with the UNICEF, the Ministry of Health organized a workshop meeting known as BFHI, Baby Friendly Hospital initiative, that brought together all health professionals in the maternity of neonatal service shared by the Service General and Mr. Meki Mohammed Musa. This workshop was attended by the UNICEF representative, Mr. Alexander Elmer, the directors of Mothers and Child Health, Ms. Ms. Fatuma Ali, and the technical director of Sheikh Hospital and neonatal pediatrician, Ms. Dr. Timiro Aden. The objective of this informative workshop was to take stocks of progress made in the BFHI implementation process and discuss the action to be taken in order to acquire the BFHI label that certify quality practice in all the facility providing maternity of neonatal the newborn care. Deputy representative of UNICEF expressed her satisfaction with the progress made by the progress of transforming hospital towards better practice such as the promotion of breastfeeding. For his part, the Secretary General Dr. Meki Mohammed Musa urged all the stakeholders involved in the initiative to continue effort of implement the BFHI in all its components to acquire the label. He expressed his satisfaction with the progress made by the process of transforming hospital to a better practice, such as the promotion of breastfeeding. Since its launch has Thursday, the mass distribution of campaign in the impregnant mosquitoes nets in full swing the two communes of Bulaus and Razdika, which have been the most affected by the outbreak of fevers. From the area is left through Harhiba, or where District 7 the Ministry of Health agent support by the community agent have proceeded with a door-to-door strategy to distribute more than 150,000 lines. The distribution, in addition to the 20,000 of nets that were distributed to this distribution addition when the Orsex plans was launched. It should also be recalled that in April 2019, the Belbela areas also benefit from a similar campaign during which more than more than 195,000 nets were distributed to the population. Ultimately, the objective of health department is to achieve universal coverage, media use by the providing the population with the effective means of protection against the bites of organization and the vectors of malaria, fevers, or viral origin such as chikungunya. On Monday, 13 January 2020, a ceremony was held for the donation of equipment consisting of a blanks during of a blanks cleaning product and hygiene product for the benefit of special needs students by the NGO Al-Islah. This ceremony was attended by the head of the department and director of Mr. Idris Mumin Abdi, the representative of NGO Al-Islah, director Rashad, the technical advisors of Mr. Mahmoud Bile, and as well as the parents of the couples who made a point of expressing their gratitude and appreciations to the NGO Al-Islah, these commendable initiatives. The sub-prefect of Mr. Awale, 4 section Mr. Awale, presided yesterday morning an awareness meeting with the Council of 4th Arrondissement. This meeting is part of sensibilization of the inhabitants of 4th District, amending the preserving of environment in addition to the fighting against the dumping of waste water and garbage of the roads. Indeed, the District Council have been asked by the sub-prefect to target all the sensibilizations problems raised at the meeting in order to measure this sensibilization session will address the phenomena of damming roads. Prefecture Djibouti is making great effort to preserve the environment of the capital. The fight against smuggling has been step up in Ali Sabih region, particularly in the area of rural border. the rural borders of Al Sabih, particularly the area of rural under the locality of Galilee, in all the other borders areas in the southeastern region of the countries. The BIAS army, the national police forces, and members of the local customs official offices stationed in the region jointly conduct operation aimed at the stopping to the illegal entry of goods such as cats, which lightening corporate the countries and these process drugs to the easy works. This every week is undertaken the quantity of a cat not authorized to import and sell in our country and the market of size and burn. It should be noted that the decision to prohibit the illegal consumption of cat was taken by the country's authorities. Still on national news, a grand media man has left us, Nasir Ahmed, a former journalist of the RTD. He was working on the radio television of Djibouti, born in 1946. He started his career in radio television. The latest Nasir Ahmed was the first journalist in Arabic section, the television section, which he was in charge of several. The later Nasir Ahmed was known by all Djiboutian communities for his great culture and was highly appreciated by all his colleagues. In this painful circumstance, the management of staff of the RTD extend their sincere condolence to the family. May Allah grant him in his eternal paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Moving on to the international level now, in Spain, a deadly explosion of chemical industry in the site of Catalonia. For more details in this report.
One dead, one missing, and 8 injured are the last official figures from the explosion that occurred at a chemical industry complex in Tarragona, Spain on Tuesday evening, with 3 of the injured seriously affected. The shock wave of the explosion caused the collapse of a building near the industrial park and killed 1 person. Initially, the authorities had asked the population of several neighboring towns to confine themselves to their house, and the measures now applies only to a few areas in the immediate vicinity of the industrial park. The explosion occurred near the port of Tarragona in South Catalonia.
And now in Philippines, thousands of people living around the Taal volcano in the Philippines have been evacuated, but the volcano could continue spewing as for weeks, making any returns. For more details in this report.
Thousands of people living around the Taal volcano in the Philippines have been evacuated, but the volcano could continue spewing ash of weeks, making any return impossible. The Taal volcano could continue spewing and lava south of Manila for weeks. Authorities warn make it likely that thousands of people who evacuated for fear of a large-scale eruption will not be able to return. The volcano, 65 kilometers from the capital, erupted on Sunday, throwing a huge column of smoke in the sky and jets of glowing lava, causing many people to leave the nearby mountain. The Taal volcano, which lies in the middle of a crater lake in an area popular with tourists, is one of the most active.
This is it for this edition. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful evening.